everybody. Welcome back to Venus Friday, when love speaks. I'm Lorenzo Sanford, your host, and I can't be more happy today to have our guest. These are our first collaborative guests on the show, and we couldn't have a better couple to have on a show about love than Ingrid and Hamilton.
Hello.
Hello.
And Ingrid and Hamilton are special because of the work that they're doing together. I came to know them through Ingrid. Ingrid came for a reading, and we had a great connection in our reading. And in the course of the reading, we found out that she has an enterprise with her husband, Hamilton, and they call their collaboration Twin Soul Poets. And they can be found all over the web under that name, Twin Soul Poets. And what they do is talk about love and working together and understanding each other. And it's a perfect fit for us because Venus Fridays is about love and connection and working together.
Yes.
Also, before we go any further, I just want to give a shout out to our director, Rose McCleve, and her husband, Tim, who are making this nice setting and all of this nice aesthetics really beautiful and making it really nice so that we have this wonderful testament to what we're doing. Three couples working together to create love and create energy for all of us, really, for humanity. I say three because my wife is here. She's not in the shot, but she's here. So I just want to start, first of all, with just a brief understanding of Twin Soul Poets and how they came together, how they started their venture. And then we're going to do a reading, an actual reading, not rehearsed, not prepared, an actual love relationship reading that talks about who they are as a couple. And I don't know the history. I don't know their inner dynamics. So when we are talking, you're going to be learning the same thing that I'm learning in the course of the reading. But first, Ingrid and Hamilton, please tell us about how you came together and how you created Twin Soul Poets.
Well, we met in a meditation class, actually, in Richmond, Virginia.
It was meditation and creating positive communication in relationships, which was an awesome start as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it was a mutual friend of ours who was facilitating the course and the class. And it was just kind of instant sparks. There was a eye-gazing meditation that we sort of ended the class with, and we're supposed to go around the circle and just kind of be present with each person. And neither one of us really made it all the way around the circle. I don't think when we locked eyes, it was just a very immediate, very palpable, like, I know you kind of thing.
Familiar feeling.
Beautiful.
Sure.
And it was weird timing because I was about to go to Thailand for about a year, and she was about to move to Atlanta, but we ended up staying in touch when I was overseas, and
I ended up going to Thailand to visit him at some point, and it's like I feel like a lot of our relationship feels like it happened of its own accord.
it did.
We
And
have so many crazy instances of just like life bringing us together again and again.
And from our first day, there were so many like synchronicities off the bat. She has a French bulldog named Hamilton that she named years before meeting me.
That was wild. Yeah.
All kinds of things. It's just like the list is
Long.
too long.
Crazy.
I would bet that first meditation was difficult because you were thinking about that person
A
across
little
the room.
bit. It was a little distraction for sure, you know. Like,
He had actually had kind of a cheat because he had been doing this course. It was like nonviolent communication, just with relationships in general. And my parents were actually taking the course as well. So he knew my parents first.
Wow.
mhm.
We have a feeling
It was
we
a
actually...
smooth in, you know.
It was a very smooth in. But like we actually think we may have met very briefly when he did a poetry performance I had gone to, but like 5 seconds, like, oh, I like your poem. Oh, thanks. Just kind of like move on. He was interested in some other girl at the time.
Nice.
But and we also grew up in the same area, so it's very possible that as children we crossed paths, and we like to think about that too.
Beautiful. And speaking of poets,
Mm-hmm.
your name is Twin Soul Poets.
Yeah,
Mhm.
tell that story.
Yeah, so
came up with it.
when we met, I had been competing and coaching national poetry slams for years is spoken word poetry. It's very like theatric based performance poetry, and Ingrid was an actor. So, but that first time we met, I saw she had this notebook full of like poems and stuff, and I was like, "You write poetry?" You know, because I'm super into that, you know, and when she was leafing through, she was like, "No, that's just kind of journals," but I could see poems like in the pages. I was like,
just like a woman, just like a woman,
Yeah.
right?
And
Expression.
so, but sure enough, like especially when we were separated, like across the ocean, I was in Thailand. You know, of course, we started writing. I started writing her poems and stuff, and she would write me poems, and I was like, "Dang, man, like her writing is really good." And it sort of, I guess, started as like a joke of like, man, you know, we had all these poems that we were writing to each other, and we were like, what if we like did a group performance? Because in a slam, a lot of times with your team, you might have group pieces, which is like multiple people on stage. It's kind of like a joint poem that you kind of do together, and it's really cool. And so immediately my mind started going there, and we was like, it just sort of came out like, ooh, twin soul poets, because we had talked so much
and I remember
about
you said
how we feel
twin
like
soul
we're twin
poets, the
souls.
world ain't ready for that, and we're just laughing, la 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 ha ha.
Nice.
And then, you know, maybe a year later, we actually had created it and started writing poetry in pieces.
Mhm.
Nice.
And
your YouTube channel, is it feature your poetry also?
Yes, our YouTube channel is Twin Soul Poets, easy to find. We do have live performances on there. We have poetry videos, and a lot of the channel, a lot of our Instagram and YouTube centers around, like you said, spreading just messages of love. We like to help people manifest deep, soulful relationships like we have. We believe that we are twin souls. That's where that part of the name
Twin
came
flames,
from.
some people say twin
Twin
flames.
flames, twin souls.
Yeah, sure.
And kind of the same thing. But we want, because it's been so fulfilling for us to have this kind of relationship, we feel like we've helped each other grow immensely. Since being together, and it's a really cool dynamic, and we want other people to be able to find that and have that and
know how to cultivate it too, because as I'm sure you'll see in our charts, there's been challenges. It's been like a crazy ride, and there's been a lot of
challenges. No,
there have been. I always like to say that because I don't want to be like put on this pedestal of like perfect relation. You know, that's been the growth, is like the stuff that's come up that we've come through. That's made us that we're still here, and we're still, you know, growing and learning every day.
And how long have you been together?
We met in 2013. So like
almost 8 years now.
Yeah, we've known each other 7-8 years, and then we got married in 2017.
Now, what I'm digging is this. This is so nice to see that.
I'm just cold.
And then, what's cool is even when you're talking and you're expressive with your hands, you're still keeping your arms locked around his arm. That is precious.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Little here.
But since you mentioned the chart and what we might see, let's go ahead and
dive in. I'm really
jump
excited
into the reading.
This.
I'm excited to see what we find.
So what we have here is two charts, Ingrid's natal chart and Hamilton's natal chart. And I've put them on top of each other so I can see how one affects the other, how one person's energy affects the other person's energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that stands out to me is Ingrid has Capricorn rising, and Hamilton is a Cancer sun. And those signs are opposite, Cancer and Capricorn. However, with Ingrid's rising in Capricorn, that means Hamilton's sun is in her 7th house of marriage. So right off the bat, there's this nice connection that says that he is capable of being a partner to her in a very complimentary way. The rising sign talks about your approach, and always the opposite of the rising, your approach, is your approach to relationships. Your approach to relationships, Ingrid, is Cancerian. It's warm, it's nurturing. And so you would attract a Cancer person very easily who could match that other side of yourself. And not everybody's lucky enough to have that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's a beautiful thing. Also, what stands out here is, Ingrid, your moon is in Scorpio,
Mm-hmm.
and Hamilton's sun is making a great aspect to your moon in Scorpio. So Cancer and Scorpio are both water signs. They get along really well.
Mhm.
They flow together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always nice when a husband's, and this may be a little bit sexist, but it's just astrological tradition, when the man's sun is making a positive aspect to the woman's moon.
Mm-hmm.
That means that there's a flow between the emotional and the identification of the two people.
It's a masculine and feminine polarity,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, we talk about that, and that's like not just male and female; it's those energies in us. So that totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, we have that balance, I think.
Sure.
And then what also stands out here is your rising in Capricorn is very close to Hamilton's Mars in Capricorn. And so this is something that says there's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of not just passion, but drive. And that he can be a really big source of pushing you to achieve, pushing you to actualize the things that matter, the things that actually are important to you. He actually can take action on them in a way that makes you feel like, wow, this guy is he's really about his business. And it happens to be the same business that's important to me.
Right.
The only challenge with it is sometimes Mars can be hot-headed. And so the Mars energy, you have to put it in check, because just because you're motivated and just because you have a passion and a drive doesn't mean she always wants to hear it.
Yeah, she doesn't like when I push her.
But there's
She don't
a
like to be
lesson here
pushed.
somewhere.
It's a very gentle push.
There's a lesson here somewhere, because I think like it's me learning when to have a surrender, or to have to trust. You know, because I think my personality, I'm very much like in myself, and you know, doing things, and you know, just very sure of what I think and stuff. And I think it's, for me, the lesson is letting him take the lead some. And I think, like you said, maybe for him, it's like balancing that energy when it goes too far to the hot-headedness. You know what I mean? It's just like,
It has been a challenge before, though, like something we've had to navigate and work around, because I feel like I'm a natural teacher. I used to coach and teach, and like there was times where she was like, stop talking to me the way you talk to, you know, like if I was talking to my brothers or something, I'm like, no, we got to do this. She like does not respond to that kind of pushing. So,
but I think that can be a growth opportunity. That it's
Absolutely.
like a balance.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. And if you are pooling the energy and deciding to commit to something together, then there's an outlet for all that energy.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
We've always done well when we come together
each other well.
Decided something together, and then like it happens a lot easier than when one or the other person's trying to convince of something we should do. If we come together and decide it, then those dynamics, I feel like, happen a lot easier, you know?
And what's also interesting here is that there's a lot of water, so there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of feeling.
That is an understatement of the year.
a lot of flowing with the energy at hand. And of course, that means when the energy at hand is volatile,
it's intense.
There's intensity there. And especially with your moon in Scorpio.
Well, we're both Cancers, and it's interesting when we came together, you know, and our birthdays are 1 year and 1 day apart. So
oh, nice.
Like, you know,
1 year, 1 day.
1 year, 1 day. And so, like, coming together, I wasn't sure that was going to work. I was like, this is a lot of emotion, you know. But on the flip side,
similar.
like, we get each other in a way that we don't have to explain a lot.
Absolutely.
At the same time. So that was kind of cool.
What the challenge with that is simply when you're flowing, you're flowing. And then when the energy is cantankerous,
yep.
It's cantankerous.
Yeah. It's to learning how to not take things personal when one person is kind of in a funk, because we all do this in life, and like sometimes, you know, if she's in a place or I'm in a place, like learning how to, because we are so empathetic and feeling so much,
Absolutely.
it's like how to not take on her stuff and vice versa.
And as Cancers, you know, we like our shells, so we still enjoy our own
Absolutely.
time separately as well.
And Hamilton has moon in Pisces, so he's really absorbs whatever's in the room. And
Yeah.
he can feel the undercurrents. He can feel the vibe.
Big
And
time.
he knows, he may not know what you had on, but he knows what your vibe was.
Yep.
Not you personally, but
He
in
remembers
terms,
what I had on. It's funny you say that. He's like, oh yeah, you were wearing a skirt and boots and had your hair out.
but that's an empathetic energy, like powerful empathy that you have.
Big time.
I'd like to just go to the composite chart. The composite chart is combining both charts and making them one.
Mm.
And it talks about your purpose, your strengths, and your weaknesses as a couple.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And the principle behind the composite chart is you two have an energy together that doesn't duplicate anywhere else. When you're talking to me, you have a different energy with me than you have with him. And it's the same with everyone.
Mhm.
So the composite chart is a beautiful technique that shows what each relationship's strengths, weaknesses, and purpose are.
Yeah, that's something you're interested in.
And what's really powerful here is that, first of all, the drive shows up again because Mars is in the first house. So it says you really do work really well together. And there's a strong energy that you have towards getting things done. That's a really beautiful thing, but it reinforces the same thing we said before about you got to be careful because that's so high energy that you want to make sure that you're using it well.
Mhm.
And I would wonder too, because sometimes one of our challenges is procrastinating, because it's interesting seeing that, because I think that's true when we just follow the breadcrumbs. You know, we would just start performing together and people were just like, oh, we love you guys, we love your energy. And that's how we ended up starting doing the relationship stuff of its own accord. But I think one of our challenges is if we both get into a place where we feel overwhelmed by the practical side of things, because we're both that creative flow, we tend to stagnate a bit. Is there any insight on that, or what we might do to
Absolutely.
overcome it?
Well, you in particular have a Scorpio moon that's conjunct Pluto.
Mm.
So you have to be really, really careful about your going too far when you feel something deeply.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it suggests,
Yeah.
Honestly, it suggests a complicated family background where there are some challenges in the early environment that
I think it might have been more internal. I had a great upbringing, with my family. I had a really awesome, the parents still together, they had their fights, things, but overall, I think really fondly on my childhood. I think most of my challenges were very internal.
I see
Yeah,
that. I
big
can
time.
hear that.
Depression or dealing with, just having these feelings and not knowing how to express them to people, or taking on, I think I was picking up a lot of other people's stuff, but not knowing that.
Are you only child?
I'm the oldest of 4.
Did you ever feel like the black sheep of the family?
No, I've always felt pretty included and welcomed and, allowed to flow creatively. I think I just came to the world kind of serious and always feeling like things were very important. I always had a very important feeling of growth and, being perfect. It's definitely some perfectionism.
I like that because that moon is working well with your Cancer energy.
Mm.
So the fact that you have all of that emotional energy means that you had an outlet for all of that Scorpio
Yes.
intensity,
That's
which is
crazy.
beautiful. So, but to the procrastination issue, there is this sense that with the Libra on the 7th house,
Mhm.
as a couple, sometimes you can wait for other people to sort of wait for other circumstances to sort of give you the energy to move into a certain direction.
This collaboration, for example, I followed an intuitive to go, and then, the opportunity to connect just was we kind of that follow the breadcrumbs thing. It's things just unfold and we go for them. But I think it's just pushing ourselves.
And but it's okay too, because Cancer, if you think of the crab, which is the totem for Cancer, it doesn't move in a straight line.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
The crab goes
That's true.
this way,
Yeah.
that way. And so your composite sun is going to be in Cancer because you're both Cancers, and it's the midpoint of your planets.
Mhm.
So there always is going to be an ebb and a flow.
Yeah.
You can't help that, and it's a good thing. because you can use it again when you want to show this feeling and this side of you that cares. You have it, and as you said, when you need to retreat, you cover up, and you get safe and you get comfortable until you're ready to come out again. Mm-hmm. So it's a good. I'm glad you brought the question up, because it is indicated that there's two sides, mm-hmm. right? There's the aggressive side. There's the side that has the drive, and there's the side that wants to have peace and wants to have just comfort.
Just comfort. Yeah.
Just comfort.
We both like to just be comfortable and home. We're both homebodies, and
introverts with extroverted
tendencies.
as they say.
What I really love, though, is look at this: the Sun and Jupiter are in good aspect. Jupiter is what you want, because it's always about growth. It's always about giving each other the benefit of the doubt. It's always about expanding what you have, expanding who you are. And it's a trine aspect to the Sun. So this relationship is always going to be about a friendship. Mm-hmm. And
we definitely feel like we're best friends.
I don't have to ask. I was going to say, are you best friends? But
yeah, no doubt.
I see this and it shows me.
Yeah.
And that was the first date we went on. We kind of, I think you asked the question first, like, what do you want most in a relationship? And we both of our answers was just that, to be with somebody that we feel like helps us grow, helps us be a better person. And that's what I wanted, and she kind of said the same thing. That's always been the foundation of our relationship. And even when we do have conflict, it's like we're getting better at getting faster and faster, coming to a place where we're like, okay, well, how can we grow from this?
Yeah.
I need to ask a question that's kind of sensitive, and I hope you will bear with me. Pluto is in the 7th house, and in a composite chart, it talks about the 7th house is how other people see you. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if the fact that you're obviously an interracial couple, I wonder if you've had any issues with that. Pluto in the 7th house suggests that there are times when that could be something that caused something that you had to work through.
I think we'll keep it general on that statement, but it's accurate in some of the experiences we've had. But overall, it's not been.
Overall, yeah,
most
it hasn't been, but
very well
there has
received.
been a few difficult things
around race, but in general, that's not. We just don't really think about much, which is funny though, because one of our most well-known poems is about the Lovings, which is the interracial couple from Virginia, back in the 50s, who helped end the ban on interracial marriage. And so we have a poem about them being an interracial couple from Virginia, and a whole amazing
white man, black
synchronicity
woman
that came out of that for us.
And I think you also told me when we had our reading that there's an image.
There's an image. If we can get it, maybe we'll be able to pop it up here. But there's an image that we came out of getting our marriage license. We were all excited, and we had gotten a text. And the text was, hey, did you know that this is the anniversary of the court case for the Lovings? And we were like, wow, what a synchronicity. So I was like, let's snap a picture outside of the courthouse. And so not the courthouse, but wherever you go get your marriage license. And so we took a picture, and then I was like, oh, and I'll composite it with the Lovings picture later. So when I went to do that, I was amazed. We were in the exact same pose with a very similar looking background as a photo the Lovings had done. And I was just like,
that's beautiful.
And we didn't plan that. We had no idea that we were going to get our license that day.
Are they still alive?
No, they're both.
It seemed like a big blessing. I mean, it seemed kind of like.
So they were sending you their love, right?
Yeah. And we do when we perform that with Peace Live, we like to sort of invite their energy into the room and just really honor them, because they're two very humble people that did not really plan to get involved in the civil rights movement at all. They just wanted to be together. Right. And I really like telling that story, because it's a very powerful example that just loving each other is enough for powerful change.
Absolutely.
And that they just loved each other and they just wanted to be together, and it totally changed the country.
Yeah,
absolutely. They were the first. They're pioneers.
Yeah, and it informs our mission too. Marriage. Now, realizing how powerful it is to help people find love. Hamilton always says, what greater mission is there than that?
Yeah.
So it does feel really good.
And I mentioned this in the start of this, but I'm fascinated by the fact that we're collaborating, and your couple, your relationship our director's relationship with her husband, me and my wife, we're all working together to
Yeah.
further something for humanity, which is a beautiful
And it
thing.
feels especially important right now, you know,
Absolutely.
to have that focus on love and have that focus on growth
Yes.
and
And
evolution
unity, you know.
and unity feels
And-
really good.
And I don't know if you've spoken on twin flames on your channel before, but the twin flame dynamic is kind of like soulmates with usually people who are considered twin flames feel like they have a joint mission for like some kind of thing that they're supposed to work on together to
And
offer
give to
the
the
world.
world.
And that's sort of like what it feels like when we are in front of an audience, the way people react.
And your chart speaks to that too. Look at the moon in the 10th house of what you're known for. So you're known for sharing your emotional family dynamic.
Mm.
That's part of what you do and what.
And we're actors.
Yes.
So
Oh, really?
that's- Yeah, we're both actors. So that makes sense. Emotional expression is such a huge
Absolutely.
part
Mhm.
of that.
But what I think is really fascinating too is there's what we call a grand trine. So the sun and Jupiter we already talked about, which creates that growth and that always expanding, always supporting, but it makes a trine to Pluto. So it really says that this is a power relationship, a relationship where power flows easily and freely, and it gives you the ability to always regenerate, always create something that's moving you forward.
Mm.
And quite frankly, it suggests that you're going to be a success in your ventures, your business.
I
Not
accept
to,
that.
not to
I
mention
accept that.
marriage, but your work is going to be
Yeah.
successful. You're going to, and you already are, but you should know that your future guarantees that this relationship is a power paradigm that's going to open up a lot of possibilities and a lot of good fortune for you.
That's very cool.
Um,
Oh, we accept that. Yeah, we definitely have high reaching goals, and we've got some pretty big things on our vision boards at home, you know.
And
so,
it feels like we're coming into our power
Yeah.
more now, especially with all the changes
Yeah.
that happened with you know,
this
past
year
few
has
months.
pushed us.
It's pushed us to do a lot of things that we maybe wouldn't have done as soon
Absolutely.
or maybe at all.
And I was going to ask too, since we talked about the chart showing challenges, also the 8th house here has Saturn in the 8th house. So Saturn is always where you have lessons to learn.
Mm.
And Saturn in the 8th house talks about lessons around finances,
Mhm.
a lot of growth around understanding how to work together and create financial structures that honor both of your needs
Mhm.
and honor both of your goals and intentions.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable talking about any of that?
I mean, it definitely feels relevant. I'll say that. You know, we started our Twin Soul Plus LLC a couple years ago, and it's for us entrepreneurial ventures and business type thinking isn't natural to us. The creative mind, the writing and the performing and you know, just facilitating workshops and making videos and stuff, that feels easy to us. But the putting financial structures and like making it a business model
Right.
has been a learning experience.
We
We've had
thrive
to-
with like structure. Like ideally, you know, we've started to bring people in to help us give structure, you know, working with marketing, working with, you know,
Nice.
a financial advisor, things like that, because that's
doesn't-
not our strength. Neither of us. So as a couple, that's something we've had to learn is like how to balance that out, because neither of us have that leaning. We're not like a couple that one of the people, you know, knows how to do all the business stuff and the other person's a creative. We're both creative. So
Absolutely.
that definitely resonates for sure.
Beautiful. The
Figuring
thing
out-
the thing that stands out about your potential, and I say potential very decidedly, because the North Node is in Taurus, and the North Node represents what you can be at your fullest if you reach for it.
Mhm.
And there's no direct path to it. The South Node is what you are. The North Node is what you can be.
Mhm.
And this relationship says that you can be a very solid example of love and an organic, unforced, natural expression of working together as a couple.
Yeah. Feels
It's the North Node in
Right.
Taurus, informed by Venus in Cancer. So everything about this feeling of love, this feeling of nurturing each other is something that you're able to transfer if you choose to, and you obviously are.
Yeah.
Transfer.
As an example.
Yes, as an example.
Wow.
To
Yeah.
others.
All the relationship coaching, all the videos we make about that, and the sessions we do with our clients, we always try to come from our experience, and we're just pretty real and open about.
We try to speak from like walk our talk. Like we try not to speak of things that we've not experienced ourselves or tried ourselves or come through together, because we want it to be authentic.
Absolutely. And it feels that way. It really does. And also, it doesn't hurt that this says this is a good way to earn money together. Your chart really does say that. So that doesn't hurt.
Right.
We know it's sincere. We know it's loving. We can see that.
But why not let it take care of
Yeah.
you too? I have no qualms about that
Accept
either.
that.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
very clearly a part of your financial. You have a lot of growth and financial opportunity in sharing your love.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm happy to be able to.
I love it.
I'm happy to be able to bear witness to that.
Yeah. It's good to get those affirmations along the way.
Do you have any questions for me?
I would say, well, just based off of the Saturn, the financial obstacles there, right? Or the lessons that we had to learn. Is there any tips or like suggestions evident in the chart of like things that could help us with those lessons or
Right.
challenges?
Should like we get a resource, help, outside help?
That's a great question. The first thing is to not get stuck in your emotional. Don't get stuck emotionally. Be willing to be flexible and to learn as many different possibilities.
Educate.
Don't get locked into one thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Try to be open to different possibilities, because you can get locked in, and that being locked in will close off other opportunities.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, let's see. I had put a couple questions before we got together. So, what's a good astrological timing for us to take some big steps with our twin soul poets? Is there certain auspicious dates or things?
Actually, yes. I'm
to
glad you
share?
asked that. Saturn, we've been talking about Saturn and Jupiter being in Aquarius. And as such, it falls in your composite 10th and 11th house. It's moving into your 11th house. As it moves into your 11th house in February, so just a few weeks from now, talks about this is the great time for you to be solidifying your networks, which is, I think, part of what this is. It strengthens your marriage and it strengthens your sense of identity. So you're moving into a good phase right now. In the next few weeks, you're really in that space where things start to both blossom and solidify.
Perfect. Yeah, we have some new things in the works and an ebook we're working on.
Oh,
we're looking at
nice.
February actually to start sharing that potentially. So that sounds good.
It's a great time for you. This is a good time. It really says that.
Beautiful.
I'm not just saying that because we're doing this reading and it's being recorded. It really is a good time for you.
That's awesome.
That feels good.
It feels that way. We've really felt that intuitively, like that it really feels like this whole year has been sort of leading up to just on the cusp of some of these big breakthroughs, and our channel has taken some pretty big steps forward. But
Absolutely.
We look forward to following up with you, let you know how
Absolutely. So thank you for being here. This is a great first coming together, and I really appreciate
Thank you for having us.
It's been so
it's
good.
been
Thank
a joy.
I really appreciate
And
sharing this with us.
yes, please. And we're going to do it again. We're going to come back soon.
Absolutely.
And follow up with
and
communication.
check us out, Twin Soul Poets.
Twin Soul Poets.
Subscribe to the channel.
You can have a private coaching session with us as well that we offer. You can sign up for that on our website. We have Instagram, a page where we do quotes and little 1-minute inspirations for you, and then we have our bigger channel, our YouTube channel, where we go more in depth. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm subscribing right now.
Oh yes, we're going to send all of our followers to you. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I always like to
Really
say namaste. The spirit of me, yes, you all know what that is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we are so happy to be able to have Ingrid and Hamilton with us, and we are so sure that you are inspired by this obvious love that they share and this sense of wanting to share this love with you. And we're all moving forward in love. And this is what Venus Fridays, when love speaks, is all about.
Yes.
So we're so thankful to be able to have them here to move this whole conversation about love forward. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, namaste. Wishing you peace and love.
This is more than fairy tale, more than ancient stories. This is twin embodiments of the most ancient and eternal glory.
I can still taste the sweetness of you in my mouth, even though our last kiss was days ago. I leave your side.
And everything
is more beautiful than it was before.